Welcome to Timeless Chronicles, 14 facts about D-Day most people don't know. The Allies were greatly helped by Hitler. Sleeping in. By mid-1944, Adolf Hitler's doctor was treating him with medications that included amphetamines and possibly even cocaine. Consequently, Hitler would remain awake into the wee early morning hours and sleep until the early afternoon. The most superior members of the German High Command were aware of his sleeping patterns. The weather forecast played a decisive role in D-Day's success, because D-Day relied so heavily on issues surrounding weather, tides, cloud cover, and moonlight. Only certain days could be considered for the invasion. Initially, Allied meteorologists selected June 5, 1944, as the most advantageous day for the attack. Erwin Rommel was at home in Germany celebrating his wife's birthday. One of the individuals who might have played a major role in successfully repelling the Allied invasion was Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. A brilliant tactician nicknamed the Desert Fox for his exploits during the Axis campaign in North Africa, Rommel was reassigned to supervise the defense of the Atlantic Wall, the defense system implemented by Germany to defend against any incursion. Secret code words from the invasion mysteriously appeared in a crossword puzzle. In advance, in May 1944, a member of Britain's intelligence service, MI5, was observant enough to spot the answer Utah in a crossword puzzle in a large circulation London newspaper, the Daily Telegraph. Initially dismissed as a coincidence, agents were stunned when, within several weeks and only days before D-Day, the words Omaha, Overlord, Mulberry, and Neptune all appeared as answers in the same Daily Telegraph crossword. Ted Roosevelt Jr. was the only general in the initial wave. Theodore Roosevelt Jr., son of President Roosevelt, was initially told that, because of a heart condition and arthritis, he would not participate in the actual D-Day invasion. Roosevelt, armed with only a pistol and a cane, insisted and came ashore with the first wave of troops at Utah Beach, the only general to do so. Two medics risked their lives to heroically provide care. One of the lesser-known stories of D-Day involves two American medics who provided assistance to both Allied and German soldiers who were brought into their tiny church sanctuary. Robert Wright and Kenneth Moore were parachuted behind German lines in the early hours of the D-Day invasion. Landing with other paratroopers near Utah Beach, their unit's objective was a road junction near the French hamlet of Angeville-aux-Plaines. Wright and Moore selected the most logical nearby structure to set up their medic station, the village church. Faced with the impossible, Rangers at Pointe du Hoc were the first to complete their mission on D-Day. One of the toughest objectives handed out on D-Day was the mission to knock out the German 155mm batteries on the promontory of Pointe du Hoc. American airborne Rangers were given the task of scaling the 100-foot cliffs and overtaking a nest of heavily fortified bunkers and pillboxes protecting the German artillery, which was a threat to both the men on the beaches and the ships at sea. Only half of the designated Ranger attack force reached the base of the cliffs. Omaha Beach could have been worse. Throughout 1944, a philosophical struggle took place between General Rommel and other members of the German General Staff. Rommel firmly believed that the Allies should be prevented from landing and establishing a beachhead anywhere on the coast of France. Other officers believed that troops should be held in reserve and quickly rushed into a counterattack to wipe out any incursion. The theater of battle was 50 miles wide. Subsequent films and dramatizations of D-Day tend to be limited in portraying the size and scope of the operation. Much of the focus of films like Saving Private Ryan is a small stretch of beach and a small number of individuals engaged in their own personal struggle. But D-Day involved an attack that consisted of over 156,000 infantry, paratroopers, and support personnel that landed on or behind 5 separate beach locations designated by the Allies. A dress rehearsal for D-Day was a complete disaster. 5 weeks before D-Day on April 28, 1944, An Allied group of ships and amphibious vehicles were moving slowly in the English Channel to prepare for their participation in Exercise Tiger, a dry run of the amphibious effort that would constitute a large part of the planned D-Day invasion. When German naval assets in the vicinity learned that something major was occurring, German torpedo patrol boats were dispatched to the area with lethal results. Ike was frequently overcome with emotion when speaking about D-Day. President Eisenhower visited the American cemetery in the D-Day battlefield only a few times after WWII. Atrocities were widespread on both sides on D-Day. D-Day was the perfect storm to brew the horrors of war and war crimes that were committed by both Allied and Axis troops. D-Day was followed by a 2-month stalemate. Despite the initial success, the D-Day invasion would not result in a rapid consolidation and an immediately successful sweep across France. Star Trek's original Scotty was wounded on D-Day on June 6th. A Canadian named James Doohan came ashore on Juno Beach as a member of the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division.